Slightly Confrontational. This is Slightly Confrontational on ESPN 97.5.
And on ESPN975.com.
Presented by Golden Era Media Productions. Golden Era Media Productions. Live from the RentersWarehouse.com studios. Here's Stephen, Collin, Gabe, and Madison.
Baby, you've been rolling solo, time to get down with the team. Baby, you've been rolling solo, time to get down with the team.
I just don't see LeBron letting it happen.
So, Steven, what do you have to say for yourself?
Listen. No one's... I guess I was the only one that didn't see it coming. I thought LeBron would at least pull one game off.
Yep, I tried to tell you last week, but you didn't want to listen.
I said
That's
4 or 5 games max, so, we tried to warn you. Even Spencer told you.
Look, I'm not going to lie. I'm a little disappointed, but he'll bounce back. He's King James, best player in the world. Let the Warriors have this one. That's fine.
Yeah, we'll see.
This one and, the other ones.
Yeah, okay.
Probably like the next 3, too.
Yeah,
but.
just let him have it.
Yo, so this is Slightly Confrontational. This is the second episode. We got a packed show for you today. We got special guest Miko Grimes calling into the show. Miko, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, guys?
How's it going?
There she is.
Coming along.
Oh, man, we're having a good day. So, Miko, how'd you feel about them finals?
Man, listen. I'm still upset. I'm still bothered. I'm not over it. I thought it was a bad dream. But it happened. The best team won.
Yeah.
Yeah,
best team.
Sucks it had to be a sweep, but hey.
Absolutely, man.
I told y'all to bring the bums out
early. What happened?
Yeah,
Miko, I want to know, what are your feelings on the Warriors? You seem to not like them very much.
Well, it's not that I don't like them. It's just that I'm a Cavs fan, so it's my job not to like them in general. We meet every year. My husband's a Warriors fan. He prances around in his Steph Curry jersey all
House tension. I like it.
It's a battle. It's going on through the house 4 years now. I don't have a problem with the Warriors. I'm a basketball fan, so obviously I think the Warriors are an incredible team. They just don't happen to be with the Cavs, so I can't like them.
So that being said, do you think this is the end for LeBron in Cleveland? You think he's going somewhere else?
I mean, why would he stay? There's no reason to stay. He doesn't like the owner. The coach is not that great. The squad isn't that great. He'd be starting over again. He's in Cleveland. Like, no one wants to really play in Cleveland, even if it's with LeBron. So he might as well take his talent somewhere else and try to build a team as close to the Warriors team as possible. It's the only way you're going to be able to compete is if you have 3 All-Stars on your starting lineup. So pretty sure he's going to start somewhere else and, build a team.
So, Miko, everybody's kind of speculating about where LeBron's going to go. We were even talking about it before the show. I want to know where you think LeBron's going to end up.
The Lakers. Come on.
Okay, that's what I think, too. That's what I think, too. You and I get along great.
Lakers.
You don't think he's going to head to the Rockets?
For what?
Oh.
I don't think that LeBron's going to join that team. I think that he would like to build his own team. It seems like the Lakers, quite simply because it's L.A., the big city. He's already got a house here. The Lakers need him. They're going to have to obviously get rid of some players and, make some serious trades and things like that. But you can't turn down L.A. No one will turn down coming to the Lakers.
Okay,
and I don't
see
think
that.
he wants to play for Houston because Houston, they're already there's no shade to anyone on that team, but why would you want to play with Chris Paul and Harden, who are 2 players who need the ball in their hand already?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris Paul is pretty. I gave him a lot of respect this year because he did some things that I didn't think he was going to do, but at the end he ended up being injured again. And James Harden just not ready for June basketball. So they've already proven that those aren't guys you want to go to battle with. So I think he's going to try some other people.
Really? Because I was under the impression that he didn't want to build a team because he doesn't have that long left in the league.
Right.
He wanted to just jump into a team that only needs that little bit left to get a championship, dip out 2 and 3 years with the championship.
There's no way he's not going to be in the league when his son gets drafted in about 4 years. So I'm saying LeBron's going to be here for at least 5 years. His son's going to get drafted. He's going to play with his son maybe a year or two, and then he's going to retire.
That's
That's what I
crazy.
think.
That is crazy.
Yeah, that is wild. That's wild. That's awesome. You know, and the next King Griffey, you know.
Yeah, his son's going to be drafted in 4 years, I imagine. So why not wait and
That's
do
exciting.
something like that? No one's ever played with their son before. So
Yeah. That's
think it would be
fun
great.
watching basketball.
That's crazy, man. But switching gears a little bit here, the NFL just put out that new rule about, you know, players kneeling and them going to the locker room if they don't want to, you know, pay homage to the national anthem and the start. You know, what do you think about that?
I think that it was another way for the owners to try their best to do something for Donald Trump so that he can stop destroying the league, because that's really what it's about. Donald Trump is up against the owners to see who's the more racist, and so they're trying to tell him, like, listen, we are racist. We do follow you in what you do, so we're going to do this. And Donald Trump pretty much said to them, that's not enough. You gave them an out. You allowed them to stay in the locker room
Right.
if they choose to. So now that didn't work. That was just a way for them to take some heat off of them from the president, who is very racist and who continues to force a false narrative that this is about the military and the flag
Yep.
and all these things. And I think that they failed once again to support their players. They try to say that kneeling and all this, the issue that the players have with kneeling is causing the ratings to go down, where when you look at the NBA, these players are constantly, they don't kneel, but they are constantly talking about what's going on in
Always.
society,
Absolutely.
how police are treating black people, from the players to the owners to the coaches. And the league, the ratings are soaring. So it's not about the kneeling. They need to stop acting like the kneeling is causing the ratings to go down. That's not what it is.
Right.
It's just poor football. It's poor football. They've saturated the market. They have too much football all year round. Now people have realized they don't really have to watch the game anymore.
Right.
You don't need to watch football anymore. Most of these fans are playing DraftKings and FanDuel and all this stuff. All they care about is the bottom line, the stats. Did I win? Did I get my money or not? No one's caring about the game anymore because it's just quite simply not as good as it used to be, you know, based on the rules and the play. You know, if you look at the quarterbacks of the NFL today, trash. Most of them are trash. So the games aren't that good. The games are evolved around the quarterback. If you have a good quarterback, you're going to have a good game. If you don't, it's going to be a regular, boring, typical football game, because the talent comes from the quarterback. It doesn't matter how good your receiver is, how good your running back is. The quarterback is what makes the game great, and the quarterback play is poor now. And that's why the ratings are bad, on top of the fans just being bored with how much football they're getting.
I definitely
And I
think
think that this – go ahead.
I definitely think that, you know, quarterback play has changed, but I think that that's even more so from not necessarily the NFL, but college. But, you know, reverting back to you know, ratings and what the kneeling has done for the league right now, I think that, you know, it is just a plot. They're trying to, Trump and the owners, I do think, are trying to really express their power to these players, and it's getting to the point that now, you know, players are so conscious about the environment that they're in and the opportunities that they have to speak out, because the NBA, all of these players, you see their faces. The NFL, these players, they're wearing helmets when they're playing the game, you know, so it's a little bit different in terms of, you know, how fans react to what these players are saying. But now that more players are speaking up, more players are stepping out in media and saying, you know, we do not believe in this. We're not going to sit here and stand by. And whenever they are on the sidelines without their helmet, that's the only time that people see their face. And so you see their faces kneeling, and then this is a form of power that's being formed within the players, and that's, you know, it's I feel like it's threatening what the owners want, what Trump's want, etc.
So Miko, let me ask you a question. Do you think if this was happening in President Obama's era, you think the outcome would be different?
I mean, I'm for sure, you know, President Obama would never agree and approve of, you know, such a disrespectful, racist, you know.
Absolutely.
What is this even called? Is this a petition? What is this? Policy? I don't know what it is, but I think that the president wouldn't have put this kind of pressure on the NFL, on the organization. It would have been the opposite. It would have been more of a, you're not listening to them. This is what it's about. And that wouldn't have happened. I think Donald Trump definitely put pressure and a battery in the NFL's back to basically say, like, this is your league, this is our league, we run this.
Right.
We can do whatever we want with these players,
Right.
you know, and that's what they're basically trying to do. They pretty much hung Colin Kaepernick and dragged his body throughout the NFL to show everyone this is what will happen to you if you don't abide by our
Calling them
rules.
SOBs.
And everyone's afraid. Everyone's afraid because the NFL stands for not for long for a reason, and also because the players don't respect the league. The NFL players do not respect the NFL and the organization like the other professional leagues.
No, definitely.
So no one wants to be hung and seen like that for a league they don't care about anyways.
Nope.
Most of the players here are just trying to do a prison sentence for the most part. They're doing their time, trying to get as much money as they can and get out.
Exactly.
They don't care about the integrity of the league, longevity, any of that.
No.
So that's why no one wants to stand up for the league.
Miko, I want to say I agree with you on the ratings. I don't believe that, kneeling for the anthem or anything like that has affected the ratings at all. What I do want to ask you is, with its new policy in place now, how does your husband feel about that, having to play, under this rule now next season?
Well, my husband's not a kneeler. He never kneeled or anything like that. My husband is not. Brent is I feel like the people that protest and kneel and do these things, it comes from passion, something that's within you, something inside of you that's telling you, I need to do this. I need to stand up for other people. I feel passionately about this. And Brent doesn't feel passionate about that. He does not feel passionate about the NFL at all.
Right.
He also is one of the players that's like, I'm doing my time.
Yep.
My husband wants to play in the NBA, to be honest with you. He wishes that he was an NBA player. But he did the NFL because he felt like this was an easy route for him. It was easy. And so I asked him before, I said, there are some players that are saying that they're not going to even play in 2018 if Eric Reed and Kaepernick don't get a shot. How do you feel about that? Would you ever not play? And he said, no. He was like, I'm not passionate enough. He said, I understand why guys would. He said, but I'm really just here to take care of my family. And the league owes me money for the years they had me on the bench and didn't respect me. So I'm pretty much here to collect my check and get the hell on. That's how he feels about it. And I have to respect anybody that feels like that. Me, on the other hand, if I were in the NFL, I would absolutely be one of the people that wouldn't play. I would be Kaepernick. I would definitely be doing something a lot different. But I don't shade people that aren't passionate about it, that don't feel, like they want to put their career in jeopardy, for everybody else. I got to respect both sides of that.
Understood.
That's absolutely correct. We're going to take some time right now to pay some bills. We'll be right back with more Miko Grimes. This is Slightly Confrontational.
This is ESPN 97.5. You're listening to Slightly Confrontational on ESPN 97.5.
And on ESPN975.com.
Presented by Golden Era Media Productions. Live from the RentersWarehouse.com studios. Here's Stephen, Collin, Gabe, and Madison.
What it do? We back.
We're back. This is Slightly Confrontational. I'm Stephen Bijou, and for y'all just tuning in, we have Miko Grimes on the line. All right, Miko. So we're gonna change it up a little bit. For everybody listening,
Okay.
tell them what you're about. Some projects you got, who you are. For those who don't know.
Well, my name is Miko Grimes. I feel like I'm not slightly confrontational. I'm extremely confrontational. I can be found on social media at iHeartmiko. I'm a retired professional basketball player, and I consider myself a sports journalist today, even though I'm not the typical sports journalist. I'm very opinionated. I have a filthy mouth, which you guys will not hear today. But I'm a good time on social media, too. So, and I'm happy to be married to the best cornerback in the NFL, and his name is Brent Grimes.
That's a good wife right there.
Absolutely. So we talked a little bit earlier about the whole kneeling situation in the NFL and, the problems that it's causing. If you were an owner or, had a position of power in the NFL, what are some things that you might do? How do you think they can combat this to solve the problem?
Well, I could never be an owner because I'm black. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen unless you're like Michael Jordan or Oprah Winfrey type of black person.
Right.
They won't allow a black owner. And the reason for that is a lot of things have to change. First of all, the majority of your league is African American, which I don't believe I'm African American at all, but that's just how they identify us. I'm just an American. But I feel like some of the things that if there were, black owners that cared about black people, one of the most important things that they would do is actually admit that CTE is caused by the NFL and playing in their sport. They would also admit that the contracts, there's no reason that the NFL players shouldn't have guaranteed contracts. I don't care about the injuries. It's about knowing that if you give your players something like that, that will give them integrity for your league. That's why the other leagues have so much integrity for the sport, because they pretty much are telling them, like, you guys are what we need, and you're going to get guaranteed contracts. And that's a way that you build an understanding with the players and showing them the loyalty, because the NFL makes the most money of all the other sports, and yet they give the least. I mean, they give the same, let's say that. And people try to say, oh, well, there's 53 players on the team. That doesn't matter. If you look at the numbers, if you look at the money, they have plenty of money to give the players guaranteed contracts.
Oh, yeah, there's
so
plenty
those
of
are
money.
two things that I would absolutely do first.
And, I think that there are some owners out there that disagree with the things that, Jerry's been saying, and some of the other owners. But, it's hard to say that when you're in a position like them and you have the president basically telling you that he's going to, we don't know what he's saying behind closed doors, so I'm not going to make any speculations. But, it's the president is the hardest person in the world to work against. So, when you have something worth so much money, like you said, the NFL is worth just a ridiculous amount of money. How are you going to combat the president when you don't have anybody by your side? And I don't even think that if we had a black owner necessarily, that would be the answer to our solutions. I think that we need to, even the players, if we have to start at the players, I don't know if maybe we need to be more receptive to understanding.
And they're locked out.
Absolutely.
I mean, you think the NFLPA would do a better job of combating this?
Well, I think that's part
They
of
work for the NFL. They work for the owners. That's the biggest issue. It's a scam. The NFLPA is a scam. They don't really work for the players at all. If they did, why would you encourage them to sign a 10-year labor deal? There's never in the history of labor deals been regular people don't sign 10-year labor deals. No one does that. And that right there should have told them they don't work for them. Who would want to be in a contract for 10 years or something that you have to at first know how it's going to affect you in year 1 and year 2. That's why you would do like a 3 or 4 year deal so you can get out of it if you figure out.
Right.
Both parties equally figure out, this isn't what I want. I guarantee you if the 10-year labor deal was in favor of the players, the owners would have locked up by now. If they realized they were getting screwed. But the players aren't strong enough. They don't have a strong bond. They've got poor leadership in the NFLPA. And then on top of that, you got a whole bunch of players saying, it's none of my business. Especially the star players. So these are the players that they need to lock up and to show the other guys, because there's approximately 7 players on each team that can make that kind of impact. Out of 53 players, there's 7 that you would consider the stars of the team. And those 7 are the ones that are making the most money. So they're just basically saying, I don't care about these other 40-something guys. I'm a cash cow. I'm making my money. I'm just going to do my time and get out of here. That's the problem.
I think also part of the problem is what you said earlier. There's no guaranteed contracts in the league. You look at the NBA and you look at Major League Baseball. There's guaranteed contracts across the board, and that's why the players' union is so strong. Chris Paul is the president of the players' union in the NBA. He's one of the superstars. In baseball, they have this farm system that builds up and builds up and builds up, and they have this bond with the players' union, and that's why these other sports don't get screwed. And in football, the shelf life for a lot of these guys is so short. The average career, I think, is 3 years long. So
3 years.
The players don't want to, take the risk of getting locked out, going against the owners, because I might only have 5 years to do this, and I don't want to risk a year or two, fighting this battle and then, losing some money.
Like we've talked about, for a lot of these players, this is the end game. If you're not playing football, then what are you doing? And that's just because the system that they've been brought up in. Exactly. They don't have a plan B. And so I think that right there in itself, if the NFL, the owners, the entire corporation knew that all these players had outlets to get into, legitimate businesses and make lives for themselves outside of football without having to interact with anyone from the NFL, whether it be an agent or a coach or, any kind of sponsor, endorsement, anything like that. Giving these players some more independence, I think, is something that we really need to be looking for, not just in the NFL, but as these kids are coming up out of high school, through college, into professional leagues. I think that go ahead.
Let me say this also. When you look at baseball, soccer, basketball, there's so many different leagues in other countries and things you can do in the NFL. There's no other plan B. There's no other league. There's a Canadian Football League, but it doesn't nearly scratch the surface of what you can do. In basketball, you could be a millionaire playing ball overseas. I played overseas. Soccer, you can go over to another country. Baseball, you can do those. Well, you can do so many different things in the other sports, and the NFL stands alone in the fact that there is no other league. There's nowhere else to go, really, to make money to take care of your family.
Exactly.
So they know what they're doing. They know it's really up to the players to decide to lock out and trust in yourself. Trust the process of knowing that these billionaires are so wealthy and so greedy. They wouldn't allow a year to go by. They would try to negotiate something, but the players are afraid. They're afraid. They don't know their power, and they have to understand that it's not going to just take a few of them. It's going to take some of these white quarterbacks who really pretty much run the league to stand with them, to actually care. It kills me when I hear in the press conference, we're a brotherhood, we're a family. Well, if you know that your brother, who's your running back, your star running back, who's your star receiver, who's your star D lineman, is telling you that people that look just like him are getting killed and murdered. You see it on TV, white quarterback, Tom Brady, Drew Brees, and Matt Ryan, to name a few. Why aren't you guys standing up for your brothers? Why aren't you guys saying, you know what, we do need to do something about this. These are my brothers. These are guys that I believe in, and I need them every Sunday to protect me, to look out for me. So why am I not standing up for them? That's what these players really need to realize what's going on. This ain't no brotherhood. This ain't no family. This is everybody for themselves. And that's why the NFL is so terrible. I'm telling you, that's why the players don't even have each other's back.
I hear you 100%.
So what are we thinking, like, post-career, just to switch it up a little bit? I know, like, after your husband's finished playing, I know you got plans. You're doing your own podcast. You're doing sports shows. What do you advise these players to do? Like, once you go in, get your money, and come out, what's your suggestion?
Well, my husband's a different situation. He's actually part of the what I would consider the 1% who's coming out of this as a multimillionaire. A lot of the players are not. People think because you play in the NFL, you're a millionaire. You're not. No. The majority of the league is thousandaires. Mm-hmm. And so what they have to do is stop buying the cars, stop wasting your money on things that you're really going to regret when you get older. And I would suggest these players know for sure that the NFL is not for long, and have a plan B. Have some type of business that you want to start. The NFL is supposed to give you a head start on life because the majority of the players come from poverty. Mm-hmm. They don't come from wealthy families. This is people that need this just to get out. They need this. And so what we have to do is we have to be better parents. We have to be better people that are supporting them and telling them that when you get your whatever money that you get, you have to know that it's going to stop very quickly. You're still going to be in your 30s when this money stops. Most people retire in their 60s. You're going to be retired before you're 30. So you have to have a plan B. You have to have a backup, a business, something to use your money to get you through life so that you can create generational wealth for your children, because all we're doing is buying the Ferraris and the jewelry and the house, and we have a mortgage. And in 5 years, we can't pay the mortgage anymore. Yep. So we got to move back to the projects and start over.
Yep.
So we need to pretty much educate these young black men, because the majority of them are young black men coming from poverty, that you have to have a plan B with your money. Whatever it is you come out of the NFL with, you have to put it together nicely and make sure that it actually takes care of you, and then you can get out of wherever you are and show your children this. This is how you get out. You don't need all this flashy stuff to have made it. But that's what we see in rap videos. That's what the culture is showing us, that you got to stunt Stunting is creating generational wealth and allowing your children to not have to go through what you went through. That's why when my son, I said to my husband, my son will never play football. This was a means to an end for you, Brent Grimes. You grew up in the hood.
Yeah.
That you didn't have a lot of choices and things that you could do. My son will have choices now. He has his own trust. So when he becomes 18, he won't have to play a sport that's racist, that doesn't respect him because of the color of his skin. He will have choices and things that he can do in life that he wants to do, not things that he has to do.
Right.
And that's what these players need to know.
And like the song says, stunting is a habit. We gotta. It takes a while to break bad habits, and we gotta get on that. So.
Absolutely.
I'm gonna talk to Steven real quick. I got something lined up later on for the pool. It's getting nice and hot out here in Texas. But, yeah, we're gonna be right back with y'all. Thank you a whole lot, Miko. It was great having you on.
Thank you, Miko.
Everybody, make sure to go check out the iHeartmiko podcast on iTunes, Spotify, every outlet you could think of. Go check her out, man. It's dope.
Yeah, we really appreciate it.
Miko, shout out your Twitter name real quick. Have everybody follow you on Twitter.
My Twitter is iHeartMiko, Instagram iHeartMiko, Snapchat iHeartMiko, and I also have a YouTube channel, iHeartMiko Podcast, where you can find this audio will be on there as well. I have lots of audio and video and other interviews so that you can get to know me before you ever come at me on Twitter, because I will flame you.
Oh, yeah. Don't let the media fool you. She real, man. So we appreciate you so much for doing this. Miko. And we'll holler at you later.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
You're listening to Slightly Confrontational on ESPN 97.5.
And on ESPN975.com.
Presented by Golden Era Media Productions. Live from the RentersWarehouse.com studios. Here's Stephen, Collin, Gabe, and Madison.
What's up, guys? It's Madison, and we're about to switch up gears a little bit to something a little more disturbing, but it's what we do here, Slightly Confrontational.
Yeah.
Like, this is something that you guys probably didn't know about, but you definitely should have known about. Oregon State Beavers pitcher Luke Heimlich in 2012 pled guilty to molesting his 6-year-old niece when he was 15 years old. The craziest part of the story is that to this day, he denies it, but he pled guilty for the sake of his family relations, the Times reported. That is the craziest thing I've ever heard about. The craziest part, even more so than that, is that nobody's talking about this. And this man is about to go to the league, possibly, to the major leagues, but he's a registered sex offender who molested a 6-year-old child at 15. Now, should he be able to go?
I don't think he should be able to do anything. You don't plead guilty just for family relations.
That's what I say.
If I didn't do something, I'm not gonna plead guilty to anything.
Absolutely.
Right. But you're out here walking around, still having baseball opportunities, going to college. Your life is perfectly fine, like nothing happened. But this is a child.
You got a lot of people that get screwed over for a lot less.
Yeah.
And I'm not gonna say it's only African Americans, but a lot of African Americans get taken their opportunities in sports taken away for a lot less than molesting a 6-year-old girl, whether they were 11 years old, 12 years old, 22 years old. It doesn't matter.
Is this a trend though? Like for superior white athletes, quote unquote, because look at Brock
the Stanford,
Turner. Yeah,
you know what Stanford I mean? Athlete, they call him.
Yeah.
Well, he was 15 when it happened, so I'm not sure in this case his athletic ability had much to do with what had happened.
No, his athletic ability, no, but I'm just saying, I understand that he was 15, but
15's old enough to know.
Absolutely. No, he should have known better.
Absolutely.
You're 2 years from graduating high school.
And so, it's just the things that are brought to light, let me put it that way, versus with an African American versus a white
He'd have been tried as an adult. I don't care. Well,
I'm not even much talking about the trial, but during his time
recruitment process.
Recruitment process, play at Oregon State, I mean, you would have had white fans in the stands holding up signs saying all kinds of crazy things that I'm not allowed to say on air. You might have even had, black people that are like, yo, why y'all got this dude out here? Because,
making us look bad.
Exactly, But the white community is not going out. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I'm half white. Like, I'm not saying I hate white people or anything crazy like that. I'm just saying that, there is a certain expectation that we let African Americans be held to without holding other ethnicities to, and it's not just white people. We sometimes with Hispanics in certain communities, it's different everywhere. As far as
to prove your point, what happened to, was it a Bucks player?
Oh yes,
that recently got into an altercation?
Was it? It was I forget what his name was, but I know who you're talking about.
Brown.
Yes, Sterling Brown. That's his name.
Yeah, I mean, come on, man. Like, you in the NBA.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you're in Milwaukee, and Milwaukee is not like the biggest community. You know what I'm saying? So they should have known who.
I actually have a family member who worked with Sterling Brown while he was in college. She had nothing but great things to say about Sterling Brown. He's a great kid, great young man, really knows what he's doing, and he had bad things happen to him while he was in Milwaukee. Well, I didn't really see the video, but I know it was unfairly treated, poorly treated by a police officer for doing really nothing wrong.
Yeah.
So why?
Which happens all too often.
Even
in
a little
this world.
closer to home, former Astros prospect Danny Vasquez, when that video came out of him beating his girlfriend on the staircase,
knocking her senseless,
crazy.
People went crazy over that.
Absolutely,
So why
as they should have. As they should have.
Right, absolutely.
I think the problem is, it's what Madison said initially, is that most people don't even know that this happened.
Exactly.
Now, thankfully, Major League Baseball teams do, and there were 1,214 players selected in the Major League Baseball draft this week, and Luke Heimlich was not one of them, despite being, he's a really good baseball pitcher. Like, on talent alone, he deserved to get drafted. But, so luckily Major League Baseball teams, they do a little bit of homework, so they know what's going on. They're like, we don't, you rape a 6-year-old at 15, there's something off upstairs.
Right.
Yeah.
And the victim's mother, to this day, says there's no way he did not do it, that her daughter gave very specific details on what happened.
But
his own
that's
family
your family
does not.
member, too.
That's your family member.
Not only is that a 6-year-old, that's your family member. Like, it's
her uncle.
Double strike.
It's her uncle.
Yeah,
like, that's...
Yo, I have 3 nieces. I love my nieces to death. Like, I couldn't even imagine something like that happening. Like, how could you do that?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, that's crazy.
He returned back to his team with full support and everything.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. From the coaches, the team.
That's the problem. It's just that, the standards that he was held to were not as high as if it was an African American.
Absolutely. And he backed out of the past season because of this, but he was not taken off the team.
Right.
So they're kind of praising him because he backed out on his own goodwill, I guess we could call it.
It's like I had a coach in high school that backed out after he had
the news, they're saying like, oh, that's so good that he backed out because he did this.
I hadn't heard that.
I don't
before.
think he should have never even had the option.
Exactly. They're like, he took the option away from us. Were you guys going to choose differently?
Right.
He should not have been in, whether he decided that or not.
Right.
I don't know, man. I think something is definitely wrong. I don't think he really should be walking around free. I mean, like, it's one thing to even molest anybody, a child. You know what I'm saying? Like, a defenseless child that has no say, probably doesn't know what's going on at the moment. Like, the girl was 6.
Right.
That's, I don't know. To me, anything involving children like that is like the most heinous crime that you can ever portray.
Absolutely.
Without a doubt.
So you guys would be against, to get this correct, him coming to the Astros.
Absolutely.
And what would you do? Would you not come to the games? Do you think people would even really care?
The Astros wouldn't sign him.
Oh, I don't think so either. But crazy if things happen.
The Astros wouldn't sign Luke Heimlich. I can guarantee that.
All right. Well, moving on from that, we've got another thing of mistreatment of women. Texans cheerleaders are suing the team for mistreatment claims. The cheerleaders say that they are bullied and body shamed while only making $7.25 an hour, which is ridiculous. That is minimum wage. And then there's 5 former NFL cheerleaders suing the Houston Texans for harassment and unfair pay. And the lawsuit was filed by Gloria Allred, who is the Ghostbuster for women's rights. And it's just kind of crazy because if anybody's seen the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders show, we've been known this has happened. Yeah. We know you don't get paid much. We know you get body shamed, harassed. But they're finally bringing this to the light, which is good, I think. But it's getting a little crazy because one girl tried to go to HR about the harassment and was cut from the team because of that.
See, I understand that.
I believe that.
But it's like, if I'm an athlete I'm not a great athlete, and I go to coach and I say, coaches are mean to me because I'm not the best. What do you think coach is going to do? Coach is going to say, oh, okay, cool. Come back tomorrow, check the roster, and then line up with that group. And you know what group that's going to be? The ones that are sitting at home.
I think this is a little different, though.
It is, because an athlete is making $18 million or even $450,000, not $725 an hour to be harassed.
They're going into that knowing that they're
going in knowing they're not getting paid a lot. They're not necessarily going in thinking, oh, well, I'm going to get harassed by fans, and that's just going to be that.
In a lot of ways, I think like the cheerleaders of any team, like they do a lot of work, they do a lot of appearances,
sure. And they're not getting paid for those.
They work so many hours like on these routines. It's ridiculous, and it's literally a full-time job.
Right.
It is.
Working on what I guess a high school.
Absolutely. As somebody who was a cheerleader
all
throughout
that they know as well before they get into it.
Well, yeah, but they know that they're not going to be paid well. They know they have to fit into a uniform. But let's be real, the uniforms are only that skimpy because the men are looking at them. So they didn't choose, I just want to wear booty shorts and boots.
So you think it's like a cultural thing?
I do think it's a cultural thing. The fact that it's a very male-led league, all of them. So a lot of males are going to heckle you and harass you, and you're not going to say, oh, well, we'll just kick all the dudes out. Because if it was a woman, they just start, oh, women can't come. No, it would be because this is a male. It's a cultural thing. Cheerleaders are only. Why are cheerleaders there? Do you think I want to go and see cheerleaders?
Cheerleaders
as somebody
are there
who was
to
a
show
cheerleader,
team support.
a cheerleader for years, exactly.
But they wouldn't.
Who's the team? A bunch of dudes.
They wouldn't
Of
kick
course, 'cause it's
female
not-
fans out of the stands, though.
They would have if it was her. They didn't kick this man. There is a fan who harassed a girl on the team. And they told her to suck it up, act like nothing happened.
Okay, well, that's a problem, yes. But you're saying they would just kick women out of the stands.
They would kick a woman.
Oh, a woman. I thought you said women.
They kick a woman.
They should kick a man out if he does
They
that.
should, but they didn't.
But they don't.
That's not the problem. They should do a lot of things.
Fans have a lot of room, a lot of leeway that they shouldn't have when it comes to players. Like the other day, I saw the video of the dude grabbing Kevin Durant's towel off of his neck.
He tried to keep it.
Turned around like, "Yo, homie."
He tried to keep it.
Yeah, that's not okay. And he tossed it back and was like, "Oh, hoorah!" Like, no, that stuff, like things like that, man. I don't have time or patience for that. Like, these dudes are there to make their money, play the game that they love or don't love, whatever it is, you know. And which I see with the cheerleading thing. You know, the dancers, they're there to do what they love. They shouldn't be heckled. Now, I'm not saying that they deserve to be heckled by the fans, but what I am saying is we have to understand that you're putting yourself in a position where you absolutely know, whether you're a man or a woman, that these fans go to these games, they drink a ton of beer, and they like to talk noise.
Sure, you know that, but
so you
doesn't mean it should happen. I think you should just pay them more.
A lawsuit to the Texans, like what are the Texans supposed to do? Are the Texans
should pay them more, because if I'm getting paid more than minimum wage, then fine, it's all right.
Well, then if we offer you more, you can get paid more. But until then, we're gonna go and pay our bills.
Yes, sir.
Catch y'all later.
This is Ed Too Tall Jones, and you're listening to ESPN 97.5.
This is Slightly Confrontational on ESPN 97.5.
And on ESPN975.com.
Presented by Golden Era Media Productions. Live from the RentersWarehouse.com studios. Here's Stephen, Collin, Gabe, and Madison.
What it do?
Yo.
We back.
Slightly Confrontational, 97.5 ESPN Radio.
Let's go. Follow us on Twitter at DSC4ESPN. That's the number 4, same as Instagram.
Yeah.
So we're not using our burner account on here?
Oh. We'll leave that for the 76ers.
We'll come back with more of that later. But first, the NBA Finals just ended, sadly. No more NBA basketball until October, man. No more NBA basketball. Let's start with this. Are the Warriors ruining the NBA? Collin, you got something to say, man.
How are we going to ask, are the Warriors ruining the NBA, but we're not even going to jump back a little bit and ask, did LeBron ruin the NBA?
Because it's a totally different situation.
Here's why. Because there was still legitimate doubt about who would win the championship when LeBron did it.
Yep.
The Spurs took them 7 games. In the Eastern Conference, Miami would have 7-game series. Whereas this Warriors team last year, 4 games, 5 games onto the championship. Now this year there was a little bit of doubt in that Houston series. Then Chris Paul gets hurt.
Dunskies.
Sweep in the finals.
So y'all were saying there was doubt in the fact that LeBron, D-Wade, and Bosh were getting to the finals?
There absolutely was. Look at the first year. We knew it wasn't going to be great off back.
Okay, the first year. Second year. We knew that
the second year they went 7 with the Celtics.
Right.
And the third year they went 7 with Indiana.
Okay,
and in the fourth year the
they
Spurs swept them out of the finals. Or not swept them, but 5 games out of the finals.
Right. Okay, they can be, I mean, but come on, man. Y'all really mean to tell me that you looked at the Heat and said, you know, I think that D-Wade, Bosh, Haslam, all these people didn't have the higher chance.
Let's not. No, they were the favorites. There's going to be a favorite every season, but now it just seems like a formality.
Right, yeah. I mean, let's not, confuse hype for favoritism. Like, you know what I'm saying? The Warriors, every year, it's like you said, foregone conclusion. They're going to be in the finals. The Cavs are going to be in the finals. Or whatever team has LeBron James is going to be in the finals. It's a foregone conclusion. Like, we know coming out of the West, the cream of the top is the Warriors, and then there's everybody else.
If you know LeBron is going to be in the finals, why are you blaming someone else for trying to get there and play against him
competitively? 4 dudes to take on one guy?
Okay, no, I don't blame Kevin Durant for doing it. I get why he did it. Because the media, all we judge people on championships now. Oh, Jordan went for 6 for 6. Bill Russell has 11 championships. Hakeem, you're not as great because you only have 2 titles. Okay, so Kevin Durant says, all right, I'm going to go join these 3 other superstars over here. And go, okay, I'm going to go win 4, 5, 6 straight titles in a row.
You can't blame the man for trying to be great in the game that he loves, according to the fans and to the media and to the people who actually judge these players.
I do not respect Kevin Durant's rings.
You don't have to.
Okay, you don't have to respect
You don't have to. He has them.
But they still real on his hand.
I think it'd have been a whole different situation if he called a superstar over to OKC or
because then it would have been like LeBron did it. Then it would have been okay.
Right. No, but listen, you go to not only do you go to a 73-win team, you go to the very team that eliminated you the year before. Come on, bro. That'd have been like if LeBron left the Cavs.
I do understand that.
No, listen, it'd be like if LeBron left the Cavs that year, instead of going to the Heat, he went to Boston. Come on, bro.
Okay. All right.
No.
All right.
Exactly.
Moving on. Guys, you know what? The biggest sporting event in the world starts this week.
Heck yeah, it does.
Excited.
World Cup,
I'm
baby.
very excited.
It's soccer time.
I can't wait for USA to win.
Oh, well, you're going to have to wait a while for that one, huh?
Don't remind me. The USA, unfortunately, is not in it because they couldn't even get a draw against Trinidad and Tobago back in November. I say begrudgingly. USA is not in it. But all right. Who are we liking in this World Cup? Madison, I know you have
Portugal! I ride with Ronaldo till I die.
She ride with Ronaldo like Steven ride with LeBron.
Yeah.
You got jokes. Okay.
It's nice that Madison likes the second best player in the world that much.
Oh, that's so cute.
Behind Messi.
You know what's crazy?
What's
I
that?
don't really think she likes him because he's talented. I think she just likes the way he looks.
Oh, I didn't even notice. Is he cute? I didn't even notice. Ronaldo's a fantastic player. That he's hot is just an extra, you know?
Oh, okay.
It's just an extra.
No, Ronaldo is definitely one of the best players in the world. Steven, you're over here riding with Cristiano as well, man.
Yeah, I'm all right with Ronaldo.
He's good. He's great.
I don't know what they're giving you over on that side of the table over there.
I'm not sure this is rubbing off.
Good
on me.
vibes is what we have over here.
Collin,
Good vibes.
I know you're riding with the GOAT over here, Lionel Messi.
I got to. I got friends from Argentina actually, and they put me on Messi back in middle school, man.
Is that why? Well, I got Argentine friends, so
exactly. I got to rock with my people.
But look, it's a trend right now, right? Like Ovechkin just won his first Stanley Cup. You know, you gotta roll with Ronaldo. Let him get his.
What do you? But Ovechkin, whatever. We're not gonna get into hockey right now. Okay. Personally, I'm riding with Brazil in this World Cup.
Okay. You know, I would put money on that as well.
I'm riding with Brazil. I think Brazil's got the best team. That's just my opinion.
I'm going
to ride with Portugal, but I would not be upset if Brazil got it.
Here's how I think it's going to go down. Do y'all remember last World Cup when Brazil lost 7-1 to Germany?
Yep.
Yeah.
I think Brazil beats Germany in the final this year.
That's what I would say.
I think Brazil beats Germany in the World Cup final, getting their revenge, and Neymar could seal himself as the Brazilian GOAT.
I think
if they do
Nigeria,
that, absolutely.
I think Nigeria takes it all.
So, back to Brazil.
Okay, back to actual sports talk now. So we've talked about Messi, Ronaldo. I touched on Neymar a little bit. What players are y'all looking forward to seeing in this World Cup? Because not a ton of people in the U.S. watch a bunch of soccer, but I think everybody knows who Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Neymar are. What players are y'all looking forward to watching, this next month as the World Cup begins?
Lionel Messi, Neymar,
Ronaldo.
Right. I mean, you really watch it for the superstars. Right. I'm more invested in teams rather than individial players, unless it's Ronaldo.
Here's who I'm looking forward to watching: Luis Suarez from Uruguay, because 2 World Cups ago against Ghana, handball keeps the ball out of the net. Yeah. Ghana can't make the penalty kick. Uruguay moves on and eliminates the last African team in the South African World Cup. 4 years ago, he bit Giorgio Chiellini from Italy. He got suspended. He's a great player, but in the World Cup, he's played in 2 World Cups. He's done something ridiculous, stupid, however you want to say it.
Whatever the word.
I'm confrontational.
Just slightly.
That's slightly confrontational, biting somebody in the shoulder during a soccer game. Oh yeah. But I'm looking forward to watching Luis Suarez. I think he's going to do something ridiculous. I don't know if he's going to bite somebody.
And I think he has these things planned out before he gets in there. He has the action.
The handball was not planned out. The biting could have been.
Now, how do we know that?
Because it happened in overtime in the last minute of the game to save what would have been the game-winning goal. I don't think he planned that out. He would have planned for them to be up. But
good point.
Anyway, moving on. Collin, I know you have your burner accounts on Twitter. Mm-hmm. You know who else has burner accounts is Brian Colangelo's wife, the former president of
his quote unquote wife.
So Brian Colangelo's wife, Brian Colangelo was the former president of the Philadelphia 76ers, and his wife, quote unquote, had burner accounts on Twitter, and they released some team-sensitive information about Jahlil Okafor's physical, talking some smack about Joel Embiid. I mean,
it's really amazing how she knew all this.
This is incredible that this happened. Secondly, what's more incredible is that the former president of basketball operations in Philadelphia, Sam Hinkie, might have been the one to find all this, because it was a anonymous analytics expert that tipped the Ringers writer, Bill Dietrich. I don't want to get his name wrong, but he was tipped by an anonymous analytics expert, and Sam Hinkie is in analytics. Uh-huh. It might have been Sam Hinkie that tipped him off of all that. That's the crazy part of this whole story.
I call that karma.
What are the names of these accounts, I'm wondering?
It's like Eric 123 Jr.
I thought they would have came harder than that.
No,
like they're very weird.
234, like Kevin Durant's.
Kevin Durant has his burner account. But what do y'all think? This is one of the coolest stories in sports to me. The NBA season might have been kind of boring because it's formality. The NBA Twitter and social media is as entertaining as it gets for a sports league.
NBA Twitter is the most entertaining Twitter, without a doubt.
Joel Embiid is a must-follow.
What I want to know is, does he really think that people were dumb enough to believe that it was his wife with all this information?
Man,
I would love to know that as well.
Either way, I mean, it's a ridiculous. It should have never happened. I mean, that's ridiculous. But on another note, Madison, you wanted to touch on something real quick.
Yes, before we leave, I just wanted to, from all of us, send out our prayers and thoughts to Andre Howell and all of his family, because that's a very tough thing that he is going through.
Absolutely.
And we just want to know that we are here for you.
Yeah, Andre Howell, Texan safety, just got diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma. It was announced yesterday. Definitely all prayers out to him and his family. Anyway, I got to go get to my burner Twitter account.
Me too.
Shout out to Miko Grimes for being on the show today. We really appreciate it. This is Slightly Confrontational. Y'all tune in next week. We're going to have another big show for you.
All right. Thanks.
Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
Need a new restaurant to go to? Visit culturemap.com to get the latest restaurant and bar news.
I hope you're hungry.
From Culture Map food editor Eric Sandler.
Glenn Davis.